A woman got drunk, then she drove, and two lives collided on the Neponset River Bridge in Quincy, Massachusetts on August 23, 2008. The crash severed a motorcyclist's leg. Since 1999, while the number of men arrested for drunk driving has continued to fall, the number of women caught has soared, 42% nationally and 30% in Massachusetts. More than 5 million American women abuse or are addicted to alcohol. This report tells the story of the Quincy crash and why so many women are driven to drink.
Traffic was light. It was close to midnight.
I saw a set of headlights coming towards us. It appeared that the headlights were on the wrong side of the road.
I saw the collision. I saw something fly off of the bridge. My first impression was that it was the motorcyclist. I immediately dialed 911.
And I got out of the car. I saw the person who was driving the motorcycle sort of leaning up against the cement barrier. My initial thought was that he was dead. And then he moved, and I said, you know, he's alive. And then I realized that his leg was missing.
Shortly after that, another motorcycle came. That person took the victim's belt off and cinched it around his leg as a tourniquet.
I didn't let go until the Boston EMS showed up. I held it approximately somewhere between 10 and 12 minutes.
Again, Mr. Cronin was in obvious pain, screaming, "Please save my leg."
I deployed my dog in that area. He went to a large hedge of juniper, and he indicated that there was something in there. It was a lower portion of a human leg with a work boot, a sock, 2 to 3 inches of bones that were crushed, protruding from the end.
I observed her to be very unsteady on her feet. I also was able to look at her eyes and observe them to be bloodshot and glassy.
And you asked her where she had gone to school, correct?
Yes.
And she told you that she went to Weymouth High School, right?
Yes.
And she told you that she went to Westfield State College, correct?
Yes.
And she told you that she had a master's degree from UMass, right?
Yes.
And you were able to understand each and everything that she told you, weren't you?
Yes, I did.
You asked whether she had any medical conditions, and she said no, correct?
Right.
She wasn't inaudible. She wasn't unable to answer questions. It was just in a thick tongue, slow, slurred manner. I initially asked Ms. Frizzoli if she was injured, and she advised me no, that she didn't know what happened. She advised that she had one beer.
There's no winners here. There's no, yay, she's getting put away. There's none. There's none.
What say you, Madam Foreperson, is Mary Beth Frizzoli, the defendant bar, guilty or not guilty on indictment number 8-805? Guilty. You upon your oath say that Mary Beth Frizzoli is guilty of the offense as charged. So say you, Madam Foreperson, yes or no? Yes. So say you all, yes or no?
Yes. It's the hardest thing I'm ever going to have to do. I had the opportunity to speak with Mary Beth, and we could take that night back. I know she would. It was an accident, I feel. I feel a long probation, and if you do have, Mary Beth, an alcohol problem, that you do get the help you need. And I know you're sorry. I really do. I wish we could turn that night back, but we can't. I lost my leg. My family lost a lot, and I know your family, a good family, lost a lot too. And my kids also, I can't be bitter because what I'm doing in my life is going to reflect on my 3 small children. So I have forgiveness for you, and I do hope the best for you. And I wish there was something we can do, and I hope in the future that we can get together and maybe talk to youngsters about the evils of drunk driving. Show them, we can save one life. If something good can come out of this, it would be great.
Her last drink was that night. That night. She's never had a drink since. She's involved in her sobriety. As you can see here, she and Mr. Cronin had talked before, and she had expressed her sorrow, and she just did it again. She has no record. Again, she's lost her job. She's now a convicted felon. She's got to go to jail under the statute.
6-month minimum mandatory sentence is required. And the individual before me has no criminal history, and there's no reason to expect that she will reoffend. Indeed, that she will have to live with the consequences of her actions, I think should be enough to deter her from ever repeating what happened on August 23rd, 2008.
You know, I'm sad because I can't play basketball anymore, and they say, you know, if you can't play, coach, you know. But I used to love playing basketball. That was my sport growing up.
If you don't have a pass, just hold the ball and look for somebody to get open, all right?
I still go, I shoot around, but I can't play competitive.
Cut to the middle.
So I still have that competitive spirit watching the kids play, you know.
Let's go, girls.
You know, and even when I go watch other kids play, I'm yelling and like, oh shoot, do this, do that.
Just take off and dribble, hon. Hold the ball.
You know, so it makes me feel like I'm back in the game.
Yeah, grab that ball, hon. Grab that ball.
I remember, you know, pain in my leg and screaming, you know, save my leg, save my leg. I didn't realize the leg was actually severed at that time. As I come up over the bridge, I looked over my left shoulder because I was going to make a move to get over to the far left lane, and when I put my head back up, there was a car on top of me, headlights and a car on top of me. You know, and I do remember, you know, people around me and whatnot, and people trying to talk to me and keep me conscious. From there on out, I don't remember anything, just waking up in the hospital. My wife finally told me that my leg was missing, but I was lucky to be still alive. I can't sleep at night a lot of times. You know, I'll wake up thinking about it, and, you know, I'm not angry at the young girl who hit me. I'm not, you know, it was an accident and it was a mistake. Was it unavoidable? Maybe. You know, if she didn't go to that bar and they didn't overserve her, you know, and keep feeding her drinks, maybe she wouldn't have gotten in the car. When you drink, you don't think. So I feel like I'm more angry with them than I'm actually angry with her. So I feel for her. I know for a fact she's not a person who's evil, who said, I'm going to go out tonight, get drunk, and hurt somebody, you know. She just, it's not her train of thought. It's not like she was robbing a store and killed somebody. She didn't go out with evil intentions.
We just do what we have to do. There's a lot more responsibility on me now. I'm working, I'm helping the kids with schoolwork, I'm doing the cooking, the cleaning, I'm helping him mow the lawn and take the trash out and things like that.
And it's not fair sometimes to her. I feel bad for her. I feel bad for my kids too sometimes. You know, yeah, I can throw the baseball at my son. But if he throws it on my shoulder, he has to go get it now. I can't run and get it. You know, I can't. I was there to watch him learn how to ride a bike, but I wasn't the one holding the bike behind him. My brother-in-law was. I was so proud of my son when he actually did make it up the street that he come back around. He said, Daddy, look at me, I'm doing it. You know, that brought a tear to my eye. It still does, but you know, on the flip side of it, I'm still here. You know, like I said, John, well, these people didn't stop and help me, that I wouldn't be here for. You know?
People always say, if something like this was going to happen, he's the type of person who could survive it. So I feel fortunate that he's handling it so well, and we're okay. You know, we'll be all right.
I do have my days, you know, and Carol sees it too.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did you say to me, what's the matter? You know,
right.
I won't let her see me cry. I try not to. She'll be, you know, what's the matter? And nothing, you know, and I'll leave the room. It makes me feel like a lesser man, you know. If I'm down, that means the kids are going to be down, everyone's going to be down. If I don't let them think, you know, that there's anything wrong with me, then they're gonna have to deal with it a lot easier. I still want to be a hero to these kids. I still do.
You are.
I wanted to realize that.
once you drink, your mind isn't the same. I said, I'm going to stay home and I'm going to drink. I'm not going to drink and drive. Well, I did. And I don't remember the accident. I don't remember driving the car. And I never will. I never ever will. It's a blackout moment and I don't have it. Everyone else has seen it, read about it. I have no clue and it's embarrassing. And that's where the lesson came.
I had been out with one of my friends, and when I got home, I decided to go back out, and on my way back home, I crossed the line and had a head-on collision with somebody. Heavily intoxicated, shouldn't have been driving. It was probably about 1 in the morning. I don't know how fast I was going. I got out of the car and I asked if everybody was okay because it was the girl driving and then a guy in the passenger seat, and he got out and started screaming at me. And I got scared and I ran. And he chased me down, held me down until the cops came. You know, then they do the field sobriety test, which I obviously failed. And I went to jail, and it sucked because it was cold. I had one shoe with me. I remember them kind of joking about that. Where's your other shoe? Well, it was at the scene of the accident, as were the contents of my purse. And I felt like that's kind of like how my whole life was at that point, just scattered, and picking it back up piece by piece.
I was angry, and I had an argument with my daughter. I took my other daughter to get an ice cream. I stopped at the liquor store and got a half pint of Yukon Jack. And I consumed the Yukon within about a half hour, 40 minutes, and went to sleep. That is the last of my knowledge until I woke up in a CAT scan machine at Toby Hospital. It's been told to me I had an argument with my children, that I picked up my purse, ran out of the house, and the accident was 2 blocks from my house, and it was under 25 miles an hour, and I totaled my car and the person I hit. No people were injured, just the vehicles.
The fact that somebody else was involved and it wasn't just me really triggered in me a feeling of, if you don't stop now, you're going to kill somebody. And it's not going to be me, because I'm going to have to live with it. And I can't live with somebody else dying because of my alcoholism.
That $5 I spent sure did cost me a lot. It cost me a lot of self-worth, dignity. For me to admit ever that I had a problem is, you could interview 1,000 people and they wouldn't think I'd ever admit to that. Because I'm very, very strong. And don't want to say I have an issue, but I did, and I did. Once I started drinking on a regular basis, it progressed really fast, and as did my life's problems, so they don't seem to work together.
It is a unhealthy, repetitious cycle that you get sucked into, and before you know it, that's what your whole life becomes.
I've been a mother, a wife, a daughter, or an employee to somebody somewhere along the line, and I've never been Melissa. I'm at a selfish point. I want to be my own person. That's what I need to work towards, and that's who I probably gained through this accident.
Once I had an epiphany that, okay, I really can't drink, then that's really when things turned around, and it was I need help. It was really kind of the first time that I really knew that I needed it and wanted it, and wasn't going to be so stubborn and pig-headed about it.
We become more independent as women, and we're living out loud instead of inside the home under our aprons. You know, you're not at home anymore with the little kids. You're out working 2 jobs.
We're raised in such a society that it's what you do to socialize. It's what people do when they get together. They drink and they have a good time and it's fun, and you do it as an escape, or you don't need an excuse, or you use whatever excuse you can, and that's it. And that's what I did.
We were drinking away our problems like I was that day. That $5 was going to solve my problems that night, and it didn't.
And unfortunately, we never got along. No matter how much I tried, alcohol and I never clicked.
All the years of mothering, all the years of being an honor student, all the years of being a good employee went out the window the day I wrecked my car. They come back, but it's only because I can acknowledge that I am the problem.
I don't think alcoholism is necessarily associated with women as much, because women are expected to maintain a certain level of ladylike behavior, and drinking heavily does not fall into that category.
Do I think about it? I do. I think about, a $5 drink, $8,000 charges. I didn't hurt anybody this time, and I really have to do an inventory check. I don't need it done for me. I am very hard on myself and keep my inventory in line.
I am so glad that I have this support system up here, and when you're drinking, you meet, this host of fair weather friends. I see things differently, and it's good, because I either see them I see things for what they really are, instead of trying to mask everything with substance.
And now I see me, and now I see my children, and now I see growth, a new life, and, not just the same day over and over and over.
I take full responsibility. It was completely because of, because of my drinking and inability to stop that this happened. So,
in some sense, I'm grateful it happened. In another sense, I'm embarrassed. But I think I'm a better person for it. I think I'll be a better role model when I become a grandmother or anything else in life.
I want to see this girl who I hit. She is not somebody who I just put in the back of my mind and never thought of again. And say I'm sorry.
I think I knew that my luck was going to run out, that I was putting myself in very dangerous situations, playing my life forward. I knew I could never maintain a healthy marriage, or that I would embarrass myself eventually professionally. I just did not think I was alcoholic, because to me, alcoholics are not people who were in graduate school getting their masters and doing really well professionally and having lots of friends and considering themselves happy. But yet I couldn't imagine my life without alcohol, so it was a really scary moment for me. When people hear the word alcoholic, the A word, as I like to call it, they so often envision an old homeless man or a person whose life is falling apart, and actually it's a higher percentage out in society succeeding and doing well, and who don't fit that stereotype. Other drugs are not as socially acceptable as alcohol. Would you like a glass of wine is a very innocent comment, but yet it's so prevalent, and I hear so often for people trying to get sober, but alcohol's everywhere. I hear mothers talking about it to the point where mothers are watching their children on play dates and drinking, to the point where after work, that's what people do. They don't have any other means of communicating with each other or of bonding with each other. That's what people are doing watching sporting events. It just seems to be everywhere. So not only do you get sober, but you also have to reconfigure your lifestyle, which can be very, very hard. So often I've said to people, if you felt the way I felt when I drank alcohol, you would be an alcoholic too. And, you know, I've spoken with and compared my experience of having a drink with a normal drinker, social drinker, and we're reporting different effects. Whereas a social drinker would feel relaxed and then maybe a little bit ill if they had too much. They'd start to feel worse. I being alcoholic, would feel better and better and more euphoric. And in fact, I didn't really get the relaxed sense. I almost got an energized sense from the alcohol. People define alcoholism based on the outside things. They oftentimes just think it's what you look like or the way that you're living your life, but really it's about your relationship to alcohol and what happens to you when you drink alcohol. Towards my mid-20s, when other people were moving on with their lives or they were getting engaged and married and they weren't drinking in the way that I was, I started to feel embarrassed about the way that I was behaving. I set out to have one amount and I drank another, and I woke up and didn't know where I was, and I had the same guilty feeling, and I just remember looking up at the ceiling, feeling horrific, knowing that my friends would be upset at me. I had disappeared, I had taken off, no one knew where I was, and I just remember feeling, I can't do this anymore. You know, people continue to drink and drive, and yet, you know, there's shame and stigma around that, but it seems like when somebody finally says, you know, I do have a problem, I need to address it, they feel very embarrassed about that, which is kind of backwards in a sense. When I got sober, I was paranoid that anyone would find out that I was in recovery. I have since felt a sense of pride around the fact that I've taken responsibility for this issue, and I feel like if I can have the courage to maybe have people associate alcoholism with a different image, that they too may have the courage to come forward and get help.
Person chooses to drink and they choose to get behind the wheel. They make those two decisions, and they're separate decisions. Maybe it doesn't intend to do that, but they make these decisions to do that, and it's certainly something that we can eliminate.
I think drunk driving in this state, people don't think of it as the crime that it is. You plan for things in life. When you go out, you plan. You get a babysitter. Plan to get a designated driver. And for women who have children, you don't realize what you could kill somebody when you get behind the wheel, and you've been drinking. You could take a life, or you could take your own. So I don't want to say women. I just think women and men need to be more responsible.
The public may have a perception of a stereotype of what a woman impaired or drunk driver looks like or is. We find all from upper class, lower class, poor, rich, all types of ages. I don't think there is any stereotype. Anybody can get too much alcohol and choose to get behind the wheel.
Many parents have lost children. Todd and I are grateful that something positive came out of losing Melanie. That there's a law named after our daughter that hopefully is going to be a deterrent.
We're doing the education part, we're doing the prevention part. However, it comes down to the person has to decide not to do it, to make that choice not to get behind the wheel.
Working at the jail has helped me more than therapy has. I have drunk drivers who come up to me and thank me. I've put a face to the crime. I'm a real person. That's rewarding for me. The woman who killed my daughter hasn't never really reached out. So in a way, they kind of make up for that. In a way.
I think Melanie's law has helped huge. We still have ways to go. With the second offense, Melanie's law gave us ignition interlock devices. And now we're trying to make that so if you're convicted for the first offense, you have that on there. And that would be a great tool to keep that first offender from making a second offense because the car wouldn't stop.
Melanie's law to us isn't about getting people in trouble. It's about saving them. It's taking them off the road and educating them, hopefully.
I've been a police officer in Hingham for 17 years, and only one time I've had to make a notification to a family that their child was killed by a drunk driver. And that's something that changes you as a police officer. The goal is to try to never have to have a family go through that again, and never have to be the police officer that goes and makes that notification. So, and the best way to do that is to prevent the drunk driver from getting behind the wheel. If you can't prevent him getting behind the wheel, then you take him off the road through an arrest.
I believe you're under the influence of alcohol. Time you are under arrest.
Melanie's Law is a beginning, but I think we have a long way to go. Obviously, if there are still people losing legs and lives, we still have so much more that we can do.